Hi everyone, welcome to October and welcome to Weather for Weather Geeks. I had a great weekend. I hope you did too. The weather certainly felt a little more like the season at times over this weekend, but I'll tell you, the next 10 days or so, it's very rarely going to feel like October. We're going to get into some very impressive numbers in this video, and already this year has been a warm one, with the exception of mid to late spring. When we look at the temperature anomalies here for each month in 2018, January, March, and April were all cooler than average, especially March and April, but February was remarkably warm, May was remarkably warm, and we just had a top 10 warm September. I think we finished in 8th place on the list of warmest Septembers. The atmosphere, kind of the way I've been phrasing this today, the atmosphere has kind of had a fever across our region ever since the pattern flipped back in May. And if you watched my October forecast last week, I'm expecting October to end up in this category as well. Probably not as remarkably warm compared to the average as September, but still should end up well above average, largely thanks to the first half of the month. Today was a warmer than average day, 12 degrees warmer than average at the Youngstown Warren Airport today. We should be in the mid-60s. We hit 78 this afternoon in Vienna at the airport. And, you know, of course, we're into meteorological autumn here, September, October, November. And our averages are falling quickly at this time of the year. Our average high on today's date is 66. By mid-month, it's down to 61 and down in the mid-50s by Halloween. Those are the average highs. But again, we're not even going to sniff these average temperatures for the next week to 10 days across our region. When we look at the regional map this evening, it's real easy to pick out where there's kind of a stationary boundary. It was barely above the upper 40s today in Buffalo, while we flirted with 80, and Columbus was well up into the 80s this afternoon. That's pretty good fall cold front or stationary front. There's another pretty good front out to our west this evening, right in through here. This is the front that's going to track our way tomorrow and lead to a pretty good chance for some showers and storms as we get into the afternoon. It doesn't look like much this evening. Some rain, some thunder here and there from Michigan through Wisconsin into parts of Illinois and Iowa, but it doesn't look all that impressive just yet. Expecting largely dry night tonight, warm nights. Temperatures barely getting down into the mid-60s. In fact, they may actually start to rise some later on tonight as the clouds roll in. Could be a stray shower towards daybreak. It's a low-end chance. A lot of us will miss out on that. Big picture, some of the numbers for your Tuesday, second day of October. 74 is our forecast high, again, about 8 degrees above the average. We're losing daylight fast at this time of the year. We're at the fastest pace right now for daylight loss for the entire year. Almost 3 minutes worth of daylight lost per day. So we're down to about 11 hours and 42 minutes worth of daylight for tomorrow. We're not going to see as much sunshine tomorrow as we did today, but I suspect a lot of the morning and a lot of the midday will be dry, maybe a stray shower or storm, but I don't think it's much. The activity becomes certainly more widespread as we go towards the end of the afternoon into the evening. Our cold front rolling through maybe right around 6, 7 o'clock, and that's when we have our highest risk of some showers and some thunderstorms. Storm Prediction Center, part of the National Weather Service, does have our region outlined in both a low risk and a slight risk, slight being a category above that low risk in the dark green. So from roughly Youngstown across I-80 into central PA, we have an elevated risk of severe weather coming up for Tuesday. I might have to adjust these clock times a little bit. This was my kind of, you know, opening bid on the clock times here for the most likely showers and storms. Might push this back to like 4 to 8 instead. Looks just a little bit slower on some of the latest modeling, but mid to late afternoon into the first part of the evening, any thunderstorm could bring some wind damage, and some small hail will be a possibility in these storms as well. So it's a day to stay weather aware, and make sure you have your Storm Tracker 21 app on standby. You can track any rain and any lightning on the interactive radar. All right, so a calmer day coming up on Wednesday. We're going to get into kind of a pattern here where it's every other day we get a front. Front tomorrow, calmer Wednesday. Another front comes our way on Thursday. Pretty good chance of showers and storms with that. I think the timing on this Thursday is earlier in the day compared to tomorrow. So this is more of a midday round of showers and storms, and as a result of that timing, I suspect temperatures will actually fall some as we get into the afternoon. Behind that, another calmer day Friday, and then the story becomes the warmth for the weekend. And I really jacked up our forecast high temperatures today for the weekend and early next week. This is the 6 to 10 day outlook, so this roughly covers the tail end of the upcoming weekend through the middle of next week. Not often you see these kind of really deep reds and deep blues and purples on this map, meaning there's very high confidence in the forecast here that the west is going to be very chilly and the east is going to be very, very warm from this weekend through early next week. I've got 83 in the forecast for Saturday and Sunday, and 85 in the forecast for Monday. All 3 of those days, that forecast does not include any records, but we'll be within shouting distance of the daily records each of those 3 days. How long does this last? Well, the warmth is here through the weekend and early next week. This is Sunday. Here's Monday, Tuesday. I mean, this is just a behemoth ridge of high pressure over the eastern U.S. early on next week. I mean, this is very unusual for early October. Then I do think that it is likely we'll start to see the pattern break down, but it's going to take some time. I mean, this is next Thursday. It's still looking warmer than average in the eastern U.S. Then finally, as we go towards the 12th, 13th, 14th, there are some signs in the modeling that some of the cold that's just going to be parked over the west is going to start bleeding east. Doubt it's any sort of crazy cold or anything like that, but it's definitely going to get at least back to average, if not a little below average for a time, right around mid-month, 14th, 15th, 16th of the month. But until then, it looks pretty warm. Now, yes, this is unusual, but it was just last year. We also had a very warm first half of October. If you remember, last year in 2017, we had an 81 on the 4th, an 81 on the 7th, lots of 70s through here as well. In fact, it stayed pretty warm all the way through, kind of like the 20th and 21st, and then finally, during that last 10 days of the month, we finally got into some more typical late October weather. In fact, some cooler than average days mixed in. But yeah, we were running some big warm anomalies during the first half of October last year. It looks like we're going to do it again this year. So, I've gotten some comments on social media today. Hey, I took out my window air conditioner units during the chilly weather over the weekend. Maybe a little premature on that. We started talking about this last week, really. If you watched Weather for Weather Geeks last week, we really talked about how it's really going to look pretty warm here during early October. So get ready for some summer-like weather, maybe kind of the last hurrah as we go through the next week to 10 days. That's it for tonight's Weather for Weather Geeks. I'll see you back here tomorrow evening. Hope you and yours have a great Monday night.